Hey everyone, Jack here, TalkNorwichCity. Welcome back to another video. Norwich City return to action this Saturday at Carrow Road. They welcome Preston North End. It's been a really strange couple of weeks, I think, to be a Norwich City fan. It's difficult to know exactly where to stand with things. You know, so far this season has been topsy-turvy, mostly down. It was a great start to the campaign. It was a troublesome few months, and actually the last 4 games, if you put performances aside, the results haven't been too bad. It's 3 wins in the last 4, 2 decent away wins in that, away to Bristol City and Cardiff City, a scraped win against QPR, and the defeat was to Watford in a game in which we were 2-0 up. So performances have still been poor. David Wagner is still in charge despite fairly widespread criticism, and I think the majority of fans wouldn't have been surprised to see him go during that international break that we had a couple of weeks ago. But he remains at the football club, and East Anglian derby is looming. That comes a week Saturday, so I suspect he will still be here by then. What happens after that is anyone's guess. But what we do know is he will be taking charge for this game against Preston North End, and there's huge similarities between our season and that of Preston's. They had a really fast start, and then now, if you look at their past 10 games, they are officially the worst team in the division. Just 2 wins in their last 10. They've lost their last 3. One of those defeats to QPR, who are really struggling this season, and shipping goals. Ryan Lowe, their manager, under serious pressure. And, you know, performance levels certainly not good enough as well. They have their own injury problems themselves. They're certainly light up top. It's Ched Evans leading the line for them at the moment. So difficulties for them scoring goals. A 2-0 defeat to QPR last time out. They lost 4-0 to Middlesbrough previous to that, and a 2-1 defeat to Cardiff. So they're in sticky form, and Norwich have a chance now to at least find something ahead of this game against Ipswich on the 16th in a week's time. Look, I think we all expect to lose that game, but the 2 games leading into it at least gives us somewhat of a foundation to hopefully build. It's Preston this Saturday at home. It's then Sheffield Wednesday, who are bottom of the division, on Wednesday, also at home. So you do have a realistic opportunity here to make it 5 wins from a possible 6. Now that would propel you up the table and at least give you something going into that game. Now, this isn't going to be easy. We have, had plenty of games this season where on paper we should have been winning and we haven't. And performance levels certainly need to improve from the last couple, despite the results and despite the form on paper in the last 4 being fairly good. I don't think in any of those games we've played particularly well. I think there was probably a 20-minute spell against Cardiff in that second half where we looked half decent, and a 20-minute spell against Watford where we scored twice and really had them pinned back. What I would say is a huge benefit for Norwich, and we saw it in the last game out against Bristol City, is the returning Angus Gunn and Johnny Rowe. Now, Angus Gunn, I think, single-handedly in that game against Bristol City basically saved us 2 goals that would have otherwise gone in under the guise of George Long. And Jonathan Rowe just adds so much going forwards. He's been an absolute revelation this season. I was unsure whether he would step into this team and hold his position down, but he's absolutely done that. He's been probably the standout player alongside Gabriel Sara this season. So the reintroduction of those guys has been really positive. Not too much in terms of fresh injury news. It looks like Hwang won't be playing again this year. I know we've got only 3 weeks left of 2023, but he's got a little hamstring problem, so he won't be featuring. But other than that, no fresh injury news. There was concerns around Dimi Anulis, who limped off against Bristol City. He seems to be fine. So team news-wise, it's all fairly similar. Now, it's interesting to see what starting 11 David Wagner opts for. I think there was gasps when people saw Onel Hernandez still in the starting 11 against Bristol City. Actually, I thought he was okay against them, probably unlucky not to score. It will be interesting to see whether he keeps his place. I think the big one that most Norwich City fans want to see in the starting 11, or at least have more involvement in this setup, is that of Borja Sainz. Now, the line from the football club is that he's maybe not adapted to the English language as quickly as they'd have hoped. So there's still a lot of betting into to be done with Borja. He's clearly a very talented player. He's exciting whenever I've seen him. I guess it comes down to instructions, and can he follow those instructions effectively if he's not speaking the English to a fluent level. I think the thing with Onel is he at least contributes a bit coming back. So even if he's not contributing particularly in goal involvements, and his numbers have been incredibly poor this season, I think Wagner will probably like the load that he takes from a defensive standpoint. Whether he keeps his place, I'm not so sure. I think Johnny Rowe keeps his starting 11 place on the other side. The number 10 role is interesting as well, because David Wagner seems incredibly adamant that Liam Gibbs can play in that position, and seems to be so excited about Liam Gibbs. And I think as a young prospect, there is reason to be excited about him. I've always seen him as someone who should be playing deeper. Wagner constantly talks about his pace that he has, and I'm not quite sure I've seen that. So I hope we don't see Liam Gibbs in the 10. Look, I'm not adverse to him starting, but if we are seeing him start, I think it should be in a slightly deeper role, maybe to allow Gabriel Sara to push slightly further up the pitch in an area where I think he's probably more effective. I wouldn't make a whole host of changes. I think the defensive line, we might see a little tweak. I can't imagine Kenny McLean retains his position in terms of a centre-back. I suspect he'll be pushed slightly further forwards. You've got Jaden Warner in the mix. Of course, you've got Duffy and Danny Bart. I suspect Duffy will keep his place. I suspect Bart will also come back in, and Kenny will be pushed slightly further forward. So it does feel as if now that Wagner has a few more options, now that a couple of more players are back and raring to go. The other one, of course, is, does Adam Eder start? Because Ashley Barnes is back in the mix. I think he's an effective player. I don't think he's as agile as Adam Eder. I think he's a slightly more limited option. But I mean, the way in which we've deployed Adam Eder this season has seemingly worked. Off the bench, super sub. I'd like to see him given a run out from the off, and maybe use Barnes as coupled as a strike partner alongside Eder, or coming off the bench later on. So look, we've got a good opportunity here. I just really hope we take it. I don't see the future of Norwich City being with David Wagner, but that doesn't mean we should give up. That doesn't mean we should just throw it in and just hope for the best. If we can win our next couple of games, it certainly gives us a fighting chance against Ipswich. We then follow Ipswich with a game against Huddersfield. So we've got 3 winnable home games coming up. You win those 3, the playoffs suddenly aren't looking too far off. So incredibly, still huge opportunity in this season. Let me know if you change anything in terms of team news. I'm hopeful we win this. I think we need to see a more dynamic performance from this Norwich City side, like we saw in spells against Watford and Bristol City. We do that, I think we win. Preston under pressure, a few injuries, not going so well. I think their league position is somewhat false considering their really fast start. So there we go. Hopeful for this Saturday. Thanks very much for watching, and I'll see you all again very soon. Bye-bye.